Oh, I'm not even on the right intro page, Jay. We're all over the place today. Main window. There
Jeez.
you go, buddy. Welcome to the Murder Hobo RPG Show, proud member of the Tabletop RPG Network. This is episode 26, recorded November 18th, something like that, 2020. I'm one of your hosts, Gary, aka the Murder Hobo, and I am here with none other than the man, the mystery meat, I did this last time, Caesar salad, the one and only Uncle J Raz, Captain Colin, also known as that guy there. This guy,
Craps and colon. Craps and colon.
Captain Crolin.
How's it going there, mon ami?
Oh, you're
As they
coming
say
in.
in as they say back in your land.
It's going. You know what? The coronas is kicking in almost full blast up here. We're getting a shit ton of cases of that going on. Not nearly as bad as what's going on down there, so that's kind of nice. But yeah, we're kind of getting into lockdown a little bit up here.
Yeah, we're. I just discovered that Tennessee, here in Tennessee, there's not a national, or not. I shouldn't say national, but there's not a statewide mandate for like lockdown. It's just in Shelby County, which is Memphis, and Davidson County, where I live, and that's Nashville. So I'm not going anywhere. We're ordering our food we're ordering groceries from Amazon. We're hunkered down once again, man. I don't want to see sunlight.
You're ordering groceries from Amazon. That's actually a pretty sweet feature. I really gotta like that. We
It's pretty nice.
yeah, we just order them. Our local grocery place delivers and stuff like that, so it's pretty good.
But you guys have
Yeah.
like pretty good grocery stores. We have that. We have that here where you can go and pick up your groceries. But the places I've been, the one grocery store where I go to, I think is pretty good. But the big one, Kroger, man, I'd ask for stuff like, I'd ask for like, I want a red onion, and they would give me like a Jello. You know, it was weird.
You
Uh,
totally get
I
stuff that you
want
don't want.
I want a bunch of produce, and I get like I don't need Twinkies, man. Just because I'm fat, that doesn't automatically guarantee that I want snack food all the time. I try to eat healthy as I can. That's why I'm drinking Fresca. You know,
Dude, they got you profiled. I um
exactly.
I ordered turnips one time. Or no, beets. I ordered beets. And we ordered like X amount of beets. I don't remember how many it was, but I got one beet that was like a 2 pounder. It was as big as my head. I had to take it back because I said to the lady, "What the hell am I going to do with this? What is anybody going to do with this stupid thing? It's massive." It was the size of a freaking cantaloupe, this stupid beet that I got. Like, I'll take a bunch of little ones that I can, use repeatedly, but the hard outer shell kind of keeps them preserved, so to speak, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Right.
Ay, yay.
At that
Man,
point, anything that size, a vegetable or even fruit that size, you can damn pretty much tea it's a coconut by that point. It's gonna have a hard outer shell, and you're not gonna want to eat it right off the bat.
well, that's exactly it, man. You put it in like a catapult or something like that. That's about all it was good for. Launching out in front of your neighbor's car. You could have, shaved it into a bowling ball, that kind of a thing.
It's like the
Dangerous.
guy who, the farmers and stuff who, I got an 80-pound pumpkin. I'm like, why? What are you going to do with that? That's a
Yeah,
novelty.
you're throwing 79 pounds of that piece of shit away.
Right. You're just growing freak produce now. You weirdo.
Oh, man. I don't know what's right with people. Always got to make everything the biggest, baddest, and best that it can be. Sometimes
Oh,
normal.
America. Sorry, I thought that it was,
Hey,
the rally cry.
sometimes normal is good, man. Sometimes just being regular Joe is the way to go.
You
Um,
know,
I don't know why we're
there's
talking about
something to be
grocery
said about
shopping,
being the regular Joe, man. I think you
right?
hit the nail right on the head.
I don't know why we're talking about grocery shopping and vegetables. This is a pretty strange start to the show, but it's been a while. It's been a couple of weeks. What happened a couple of weeks ago? You were ready to wing dangle punch somebody out, I think.
Yeah, I just had to deal with some stuff going on up in family land. I had to go deal with my sister's kids or whatever. I was about ready to karate chop some folks, but got everything all sorted out. Everything's good.
Well, that's
I,
fantastic. I don't know why I start yawning. Oh man. Anyways,
it's my voice.
no. You're the sweet sound of your delicious voice makes me nappy. Oh my god.
It's like
All right.
melatonin.
Watch me steer this bitch back on track. This is a podcast about role playing games in general, and as usual, we're going to ramble incoherently, like you just saw. Oh, I think this is no better time than the present for one of these there, Jay. Incoherent ramblings. Right out of the gate, throwing one of those down, just because that's just what happened.
That's how we do, man. We're pushing 50. This is what happens when you start pushing 50. Like trips to the grocery store are fascinating.
This is actually kind of a true thing. This is kind of a true statement, especially if you have Alzheimer's and forget to put your pants on.
I just forget that you actually go in the grocery store and you thought you had to get a doctor's appointment too.
How do you feel about wearing diapers, Jay? That's what I want to know.
I'm all for it, man. If you got a problem, go ahead. I mean, why not? That's
Yeah,
your business, bro.
I don't
If
know.
you want to wear a diaper, go ahead.
Well,
I won't know about it.
I don't mean for fun, like just for every day. I mean like because you have to, or you crap your pants.
If you got to, you got to.
Hmm.
You know, I don't have to know about it. It's
It's
not like
funny.
I'm going to do an underwear. You know, are you wearing a diaper, sir?
What you know?
No,
What's
come over
funny
here. Let
about
me check.
you know what's funny about the whole situation? Here I go yawning again. I was perfectly fine doing a thing. I was looking up some Darkest Dungeon stuff before I showed up, and all of a sudden it's Yawn Fest 77. What was I gonna say? You know, it's funny that as kids we forget like what it's like to be a baby and stuff like that. When you had to wear diapers and you walked around with Dookie in your pants all day long, and then as you get older and stuff like that, you're just not a fan of walking around with the Duke in your pants. It's it's not comfortable. So I'm hoping that by the time I get back into diapers, that the memory will be like I was two again, or at least one, so that I won't remember every time I crap my pants.
It'll just be natural at that point. You'll just let it. You'll just go with it.
Right? Imagine being like completely 100% mentally focused, and your body just falls apart and you poop yourself, like uncontrollably. At that point, I think I'm faking mental problems. Do you know what I mean? Oh, Grandpa pooped his pants again. Where'd you go, Jay?
I'm right here.
You're looking at something.
I might have been. Yeah, show notes because I'm professional.
Right. Disclaimer. If you came here for some
That's right.
serious information or advice, you're in the wrong place. We're an RPG entertainment podcast, although right now we're poops and vegetables and grocery shopping entertainment podcast. Yeah, if you, where was I at there? I was at a thing. And although you might occasionally be able to glimpse a nugget of truth or inspiration from our many years of gaming experience, like the crumbs from a donut, we promise that it accidentally falls or fell out of our mouths.
Yeah, we claim no. I guess real knowledge. Yeah, real. You know, real professional. Like we do this for for fun. I mean, hell, we do the podcast for fun. We game for like. I don't claim to be a fucking expert in this shit. I just know what I know.
Hey, and I'm sure that you haven't. Have you had a chance to check out my last video? Did you
I have
see
not,
the?
sir.
You got to watch the last 10 minutes of it, Jay, and see this thing that I built.
Okay.
In one of the adventures that we're doing called Outlaws of the Iron Root, I had a couple of days off last week, and I spent a bunch of time building some stuff. But I made like a 4-layer, 3-layer. It's actually 4, but I don't want to tell my players. There's a hidden dungeon in case they're listening.
I won't tell
But
anybody.
sweet. But yeah,
Mhm.
there's like I made a 4-layer dungeon, and it's actually pretty sweet.
Well, you're used to eating 4-layer cake, so I would imagine those dimensions were right on the the money for you.
I see how it is. Right to the fat jokes. Wow. All right. Well, I mean, with that out of the day, with that out of the way, buddy. What do we got going on? What are we covering today? Who did?
Well, today, my man, I think we're going to call this since we're all dealing with some hazardous situations going on right now. I figured this was a good time to talk about this as far as like how hazards go in gaming, and I guess the topic got brought up where you said that fall damage is dumb, and so I'm like, well, why don't we cover hazards altogether? Want to see how you, the D&D and the ICRPG expert, handle such things, and this me being the Savage Worlds and Age and you know old shit like Champions. You know how we dealt with hazards back then. So I think that's what we were going to talk about. You know, rock damage. You know, poisons. You know, weather. You know, difficult terrain. Like, how do you deal with that shit? So
Hmm.
I think that's what we're going to cover today.
Crazy girlfriends coming at you when you're not looking.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Weird social diseases.
Ooh, you got any of them?
Maybe.
You
You don't know. You don't know my life.
don't know. Maybe you do. Other than that, what's going on? Have you done any gaming? Did you get any age in on Thursday last week?
Yeah, we did a little of it. Or we actually set up the, we set up set up my terrain and everything like that, and we played for a little bit. And I introduced a couple of. My thing is, I'm trying to introduce right now some NPCs for them to interact with, because I think right now I lack a lot of the social stuff in my games. It's always like some combat or always something, like some hazards, something that they have to deal with. But like just having to convince somebody to do something, or or somebody can stop like who can talk down a gunfight or something like that. I don't do enough of that stuff, man. So I'm really trying to incorporate that in this game where it's going to be a lot more personal, and they're going to be a lot more socially engaged.
What
So,
is it? What are you playing
so
right now? You're doing post-apocalyptic.
yeah, post-apocalyptic modern age. I've taken like D20 modern, or their other apocalypse little guidebook that they had that came out. I want to say about 15 years ago, and it's a perfect little. And I want to say that modern age, like I said before, is a pretty good little spiritual successor to D20 modern. And that's my 3.5 frame of reference. And so I figured, yeah, this is a good little module to use, and it works perfectly well. Did you go?
Very
Oh
nice.
no, there
No,
you
I was just setting the thing up. I think I need to push to talk. Discord is it's like licking the scrotal chamber, if you know what I mean. It's
Yeah.
tongue tickling the bottom side of my taint. Um, are you playing online, or are you forced to social distance right now? Our house is on lockdown. That's just new laws that they put in. Everything you're doing is VTT.
No, this is all in person. I got my terrain and everything like that too. However, we were doing this. It was a couple weeks ago that we last did this, and so, but now with everything going on, it's a good thing we might stagger that a week or stagger it a month, and just waiting for a lot of this stuff to kind of like die down. Like I said, the cases are spiking here, in Tennessee. So, you know, I'm in that category, dude. I ain't trying to get sick.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. Oh, sweet. Yeah, I mean, all my stuff is online. We did a D20 Star Wars, the Saga edition, I think it's called, last week, which was actually pretty fun.
Man, I like Saga. I like a little bit of Saga. I read some Saga and stuff. I never played any of it, but I liked it, man, as far as it goes. And I think, and one of my favorite video games of all time, and that's Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic, was based on Saga. So, got a big kick. What are you doing?
I was
You know,
watching
make it.
myself in my webcam, and I was
Oh yeah,
making my tongue pretend to be my top lip and my bottom lip be my bottom lip to see how big I could make my
yeah,
lips look.
yeah. I know
I don't.
what you were doing. I just like wondering why are you, do you have early stage dementia? Is that what's going on here? Do you need to be monitored, sir?
I'm telling you, sometimes I just do weird things. I don't know where that came from.
Uh, this level.
Christmas just around the corner. We were talking about this today on the old Discord chat. Have you put your list out there? Have you told the peeps what you want?
Well, yeah, actually they did. The wife was like, "All right, man, you need to, you need to throw together a list for, for the in-laws and everything, because they're big on buying, Christmas stuff and everything like that too." So I'm like, "All right, cool, I can indulge them." So I'm like, I'm just gonna throw a bunch of RPG stuff on the Amazon list, and so yeah, I threw a few books on there. In fact, let's see what I threw on the list here. Uh, some stuff like The Expanse, that Abzu's Bounty, that adventure. I wanted some of that. And um there's a book called Fantasy Age Layers that I wanted to check out. Just mainly how to build like yeah, how to do certain things in Fantasy Age, as far as like, I don't know, like castles and even like, big fortresses and stuff. So I threw that on the list, and I went to the Dragon Age stuff too. I was like, yeah, you know what? I might as if I'm already all in with everything else that that with everything else Age has, I might as well get Dragon Age too while I'm at it. So
Ooh,
you know,
nice. Any word on what's coming out with Age next year? Everything, I guess, is still on first quarter. We talking second quarter? You
the
need
way
to
it looks,
find
yeah,
it
they're
in,
talking
buddy.
about. See, the big thing is they don't do any they just release their stuff, man. They just sell their stuff to the public. They don't do any Kickstart launches. They'll do it for like certain things like Dice, but not for like publishing. Like they did a Kickstarter for like Expanse, Dice if you wanted anything, not for any of their core stuff. So if they push stuff back, it's because they're releasing it themselves. They're not worrying about funding for a Kickstarter. But as it stands right now, yeah, new Age stuff is going to come first quarter. As I stand
Ooh,
from where I stand.
I'm going to be going all in on that. Hey, with the border closed, I now have two packages sitting across the line. I got my Rifts box set that's been sitting there since March, and one of my Kickstarters that I just backed is called Skinny Minis. Maybe it was Skinny Minis 2. It was the thicker plastic. When I bought, because I use paper miniatures for basically everything that I do, the ones that I got for the Skinny Mini set were the terrain pieces. So I got trees and bushes and treasure chests, and I got like dungeon doors and walls and stuff like that. I didn't actually get any people or monsters because I could just print them off with my printable heroes or paper forge minis, right? So, but that just came through, and it is sitting at the border now. So I gotta make sure I contact them and figure out how to get my stuff from there. It's 5 minutes from my house, but I'm gonna end up having to probably spend another $100 to get it here. But it's cool that that stuff just came out. I saw Matt Stark playing around with it a couple of days ago. He was posting some stuff on the MeWe's, and yeah, it actually looks pretty good. So I'm excited for that. I just got to figure out how to get it to my house.
I wouldn't mind having some of this stuff too, because I think right now at this point I'm all about this. These flat. I mean, I see these. These are a little bit. These are thicker than the Arc set. So if they have some modern stuff, man, I'll get all the stuff, man. But of course, I'm good. I got enough fucking elves and dwarves and tieflings and doodads and wee wees and flop flops and whatever the fuck fantasy shit is. I want some cops and I want you know, some cool
Okamarts,
stuff.
I'm telling you, this
The
is why you
cop,
go paper
cops and
miniatures.
lawyers.
This is why you go paper miniatures. Okamarts has a whole bunch of different stuff. He's got a unique style, so when you bust out Okamart stuff and put it up against other people's art stuff, it doesn't blend well together. But he's got enough of his own unique things that you don't really have to worry about.
Yeah,
Do you know?
I've
It,
seen a lot of I've seen a lot of his paper art for a while. In fact, I think I was a patron of Oakham for like a little while. But yeah, just like I didn't have the need for all the paper minis. But no, he's like his modern stuff and like his sci-fi stuff is really kind of neat. He's got that weird kind of like pulpy comic book style that's kind of cool. And he hooked you up with a sweet monk ape, didn't he?
oh yeah, I got it up. It's a special one that I got. I built well because not often do I find myself actually doing anything cool with my paper minis, like basing them or any of that kind of stuff. But because this one was sort of unique and he made it because I put out a request for one, I based it. It's got rocks and stuff all around it, and yeah, did a bunch of stuff with it. I actually added a barrel to it and did some other things, but it was for a 50 fathoms thing for the monk apes, so that was actually pretty sweet.
That's awesome, man. I guess yeah, that's cool. The community's kind of cool like that, where you can just go ahead and like, hey man, can you give me something? I'll be your friend, and then we're like, yeah, man, I'll hook you up. So
Right,
it's
threw
good
it out
like
on
that.
Twitter, and bam, what do you know? I got it. Um, all right, well, let's get into the main topic here, buddy. We're going to talk about hazards and stuff like that. Hazardous stuff, hazardous things like my, the waste from our bowels.
Yep. Somebody's breath.
Ooh, wow,
Yeah.
stiff. All right,
I
so
wasn't talking about yours. Could be mine.
that's kind of mean, Jay. I'm just saying.
Yeah, yeah, it could be.
I got to
Could
click a
be.
couple of buttons here and see if this works.
Yay!
something that I've been neglecting to mention as of late. If you're interested in coming down and looking at our ugly mugs, we do actually record or do a video Twitch kind of a deal that we put out where we just hang out and talk face to face. We decided that if we're going to hang out and do the podcast, we might as well hang out and do, what do they call those things? Vlog casts. So we're vlogging it over at Twitch at murderhoboshow.twitch.tv if you're in podcast land. Oh, look at this. Want to become famous? Buy followers, primes, and viewers. That just happened to pop up there.
Spam.
Hey, wow. 3 in a row. Boom, boom, boom.
We're hot.
I wonder how you can get rid of them. Can you purge? You can ban? I guess.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, maybe click on it or something. I don't know how to. That's great. The bots are hitting us.
Wow. All right. Anyways, main topic. All right. So, oops, I shrunk my page down here. We are going to talk about, well, this all spawned from a little conversation that I had on the MeWe's with Matt Stark a while ago. It actually sort of spawned from, I recently came across an article about a local woman around my area here that fell 27 feet onto some rocks. She broke her back and a leg. She got a compound fracture in her other leg, severely damaged her heel, and broke her cheekbone. And that's from 27 feet, which is actually quite high. Like, one story is 13 feet, so that's like falling off a 2-story building or basically the top of your house onto rocks. So I posted this onto the MeWe's group, and I got some interesting feedback that I feel is absolute horseshit. And we're going to discuss it here because I'm always right. Right, Jay?
All right. So what? All right. So tell me exactly what kind of feedback you got.
Well, let's start with this premise here. Matt was saying, and this isn't me attacking Matt by any means, he just brought it up, but I just wanted to, somewhere in the past, you hear things in D&D land, and you have to sort of stop and think about them. And what he had brought up is that when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, your players are considered to be heroes. They're the cream of the crop. They rise to the top. However the rest of that rap song goes, I don't give a crap. Yeah, that's pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and when I was looking up the falling damage here, I'm gonna go over here and we're gonna bust out a little PDF capture so that you can see what's going on down here. If I go to select text and I highlight this little area right here, Jay, you're going to be able to see that in Dungeons and Dragons, it says that a fall from great heights is one of the most common hazards facing an adventurer. At the end of a fall, a creature takes 1d6 bludgeoning damage for every 10 feet that he fell, or every 10 feet it fell, to a maximum of 20d6. The creature lands prone unless it avoids taking damage from the fall. So, if you fall, in a nutshell, if for every 10 feet that you fall, now remember she fell 27 feet, she would have taken 3d6 damage, were she a Dungeons and Dragons adventurer. And at 3d6, when you're level 3, you could absorb that. At level 2, you could absorb that. This woman broke almost every friggin' bone in her body from 27 feet. But if you play D&D, you're barely taking any damage. You're surviving that 30-foot fall no matter what. I mean, and the higher up in levels you go, the greater that you become. So the idea that you're this grandiose hero and you can fall, what did I say? So you could fall 200 feet? Could you imagine falling 200 feet and living? And then somebody else in the chat made a comment about some guy that fell out of a plane from 10,000 feet. And I'm like, okay, these one-offs don't really count. Because people, it's happened. Crazy things have happened to people. But if you push 1,000 people out of a plane, you might get one guy that landed successfully. All right, 999 of them are splatting on the ground in big piles of goo. So it makes me say to myself, or makes me wonder to myself, whoever put this idea out there that your D&D playing characters are these like epic superheroes really wasn't. I don't think that they meant it in the fact that they can defy physics, if that makes any sense. So I don't think falling damage is handled very well in game. And in fact, like after a certain amount of height, it should just be game over because, unless you might 0 to 5% chance you're going to land and actually live, you're going to be pretty broken if you fell 50 feet. What do you think?
If you're playing a regular like D&D, I guess I understand. It's understood that D&D is sort of fantasy supers in that sense. If you're playing a supers game, falling ain't shit if you can handle it. You're expected to fall from a bunch, from a big height. But man, if you, yeah, if you can't, it pains me to say this, but yeah, I gotta agree with you, man. In that sense, I mean, you have to abide by friggin' physics. You shouldn't be able to shrug off stuff like this. Like I said, that woman fell 27 feet and it's probably fucked up. Is gonna need, you know, pins and shit in her back, and it's gonna, probably gonna take months of recovery. So yeah, she didn't take 3d6 damage, and you know what? And also, depending, what's her hit dice? What was her class? You know, it's, we got it. If she's just basic human or whatever, we
I
just put
would.
that in play.
I don't know what class she was, but she did not have feather fall. I could tell you that much.
Well, she's a cleric. That's probably why she only, she didn't die. She just, got fucked up that bad. But you know, you got, dude, you got to consider anything over 20 feet to be pretty damn dangerous. I mean, whoever that is,
Yeah.
whoever that 20 feet,
Uh,
unless there's water. I've jumped 30 feet off a cliff, into some water when I was a kid, and stuff, and you got to land right, or you smack your feet, stuff. But yeah, man,
it
I,
it just comes across as one of the hazards that's not very well handled in most games. If you look at it from this perspective, if it's a maximum of 20d6, then you're looking at a combined total of 120 hit points. That is 12th level if you go maximum hit points for a fighter, or if you get lucky. So you're telling me at 12th level you become a 12th level fighter in D&D and you could fall from a dragon and thousands of feet to the ground and survive pretty much every time. That's hot garbage. The idea, I think, bothers me more that players have this thought that your character is somehow like the cream of the crop, or they have some kind of like physics defying ability. I find that premise is kind of crap, as noted by the shitty falling damage. But it leads to other problems too. The way I'm looking at it too is if you have players that once they hit 13th or 14th level, they want to escape a tower. They want to fall out of a tower using the mechanics inside of Dungeons and Dragons. They just jump out the window. And every time they fall 50 feet to the ground and they got to take 5d6 damage. So they're going to jump out of a window and land on the ground. This rubs me the wrong way because I had a player, this monk. Monks, I should look it up right now, but they get this special ability where they can stop themselves from taking fall damage by using their chi or whatever.
I,
I think I probably told you this story, but this one of the adventures they go up in the air. This tower breaks. It's there's levitation stuff cast on it. They're 200-300 feet up in the air, and he just jumped out the window because he knew that he had this ability, and then he just went flying down to the ground, and at the last 20 feet cast a spell and or used his chi power to absorb fall damage. But I find that herein lies the problem. If you're going to go by the mechanics of Dungeons and Dragons, then you could jump out of a 50-foot to a 100-foot tower. 100 feet is 10d6. You're looking at what? Maximum 60 damage you're going to take if you like roll all 10d6. That's a level 6 character, level 6 fighter. Every time can jump out of a 60-foot window. Like, get out of here. It's garbage, man. These rules, after a cap, there's got to be something better than that.
yeah, it's better than that. D8, D10, D12, D20. That's what I say. Yeah, I mean, if D6 ain't cutting it, man. I mean, if you really, I mean, seriously, it is up to you because you know what? I do agree. Yeah, fall should. Yeah, you shouldn't be able to. You shouldn't be able to take the chump way out and fall out of a damn tower if you're. If you don't want to face the. Face the wizard or face the dragon at the end of. At the end of the. the vertical dungeon there. Vertical. I was making sure I get horizontal and vertical confused, but yeah, you take a powder out that window, just think, oh, I'm just going to brush off hit points,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, because again,
Anybody who does that, yeah, is going to face. Oh, are you especially going to do that? You want to take fall damage? Oh man, D6 isn't going to cut it, man. You're taking about D12 or maybe even D20. Yeah,
that's how you're going to solve the problem. You're just going to double up on the dice, right? Throw a couple of
yeah,
D12s in there. Do you know the one thing too that Dungeons and Dragons is really lacking is like hindrances. Like, I mean, you could jump out this window, if going by their rules, and fall 50, 60 feet, no problem, land on the ground and just walk away like nothing happened every time. And that's super, not only unrealistic, but completely not challenging whatsoever. And then to be able to mechanically have the ability to do it every time is sweet garbage. There should be some better rules. I mean, at least I would implement different rules so that couldn't happen because man, I'm jumping off everything if that's how we're playing. How does age handle this kind of a hazard? Have you looked it up?
yeah. In fact, this is how I wanted to discuss it because this is something, man, that it's something I haven't thought about in a while because or actually not, I haven't thought about in a while. It's something I haven't incorporated in a lot of stuff, but I used to do it a lot with like supers games because you can only fight so much and there's not really anything social to do in super, because there's fucking you got guys who can mind control. So what are you going to do? You convince somebody to let you in a building. Okay, just send in your mentalist and they'll take care of it. Well, what you got to do in supers games is you got to throw these environmental sort of um, obstacles in their path, and so I've always looked at ways to kind of do that, and age. Um, really does hazards pretty cool here.
Now, are you looking
Is
in modern age, Jay, or are you looking in one of the other ones? Because I got the basic
no,
rule book and I got the.
if I ever talk about age, it's usually modern age is my frame of reference. Um, that's the one I go by because I think the reason I use modern age as a reference because it doesn't have classes, and I think they've updated some stuff from Fantasy Age, where Fantasy Age was like their first. Well, actually, really, Dragon Age in 2009 or 2010 or whatever, right after the video came out. That's when they rolled out a couple of years later. That's when they rolled out the Dragon Age RPG, but it's since evolved into that was the basis for Age, which has since evolved into Fantasy Age, being an
Yeah.
offshoot of that, and then now Modern Age. But I usually use Modern Age as like a baseline for everything.
Check this out. You might have to take a trip down there when you move to Washington. 3815 South Othello Street. Suite 100, number 311, Seattle, Washington.
Yeah, Green Ronin, baby. Yeah, that's
Right?
right down the road.
I actually know where Othello Street is. It's an exit off the I-5 that you can get onto that deal. I've passed it 1,000 times,
Yep.
20 years ago anyway.
Yep.
What page of Modern Age are we looking at for hazards?
If you look on page 129, that's where it starts and it leads over into 130. And the only thing that you really got to look at that's going to steer out is it got something called a hazard category, and it all just breaks down into how much damage it's going to do. My minor hazard, which they give an example, is like I said, that's a floor that's littered with broken glass. That's going to do 1d6 worth of damage. And then it goes on from minor, moderate, major, arduous, harrowing, and murderous, and they all go up to those go up to 2d6, 3d6, 4d6, 5d6, and 66. It says a moderate hazard. It says a 10-foot fall is 2d6 damage. So that's already, think about that. That's 2d6 damage. That's more damage than you're already going. Well, yeah, that's already more damage than you're gonna take in than D&D. You know,
How do
you
hit points work? Like, if you're a level 10 character, how many hit points would you have in Modern Age?
depends on what genre you're playing. If you're playing gritty, your hit points don't rise above what you get at level 1. So you 15,
What?
15 to 20, 15 to 20, maybe 25 at like gritty. And then, but when you start playing like pulpy and cinematic, where you get more hit points as you level up, maybe about 50, or maybe like 45. I think it doesn't get like super high, unless but I'd say it doesn't get any higher than like 45, maybe 40, or like 48, really.
Yeah.
And there's ways to combat that, which I might have talked about, but there's ways to combat that that HP creep there, and that's exploding damage, man. That's a good way to. That's how I will resolve it. If you're worried about that HP creep.
Is exploding damage a thing inside of? I guess I mean it could be. Is that an option or that's built in?
Oh, it's not an option. It's just something I threw into there.
Oh,
But it made sense. See, there was exploding damage in in Star Wars D6, so that's where I was used to it from. And since you're already rolling D6s anyway, man, why not? And if you're just worried, if you just can't do it enough, man, I'd say all right, or you can make it a stunt. You can make a stunt. Like okay, if you rolled like 4 stunt points, you get a roll again for damage. Or your damage explodes or something. You can do it like that. I don't know.
yeah.
I'm just throwing stuff out there.
I mean, yeah.
Everybody's worried about the HP creep, but I haven't gotten to that that high point yet to really see it really be a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I'm starting to feel it in ICRPG after playing now, I think, for 8 months, running my campaign and stuff like that. I threw out a vampire that was a 5-heart creature. They've all got 3-4 advances and stuff like that. I got to tell you about this really weird thing that it's actually stupid. I don't even know how it got in. I don't know what Hankerin was thinking, but I'm going to call him out on it. I love ICRPG. It's fantastic. It's easy. It's great. It's nice. It's fun to run. I threw out this 5-heart vampire, and basically it just turned into a pincushion. By the time they went around with the quick start rules, because now everything's moved from, like, magic used to be a D8, now it's a D10. It's magic and energy weapons. Guns and something else are a D8. Guns are a D8. Weapons are a D6, and then magic and energy weapons are a D8. And then you've got your ultimate, right? But by the time it went around, this frickin' vampire was one shot, 5 hearts, boom, 50 hit points, no problem, right? And I'm just thinking to myself, a vampire should actually give a group of 5 people a decent run for their money. They're not lightweight, so it's probably a thing on my end. You know what I mean? Like, I should have made it a little. You can throw in minions to solve the problems. There's lots of ways to solve the problems. But yeah, so the stupid thing is there's a skill that this new guy that we got playing, Daniel, has, and it's called Lethal Blow. And if he takes 1 round to aim, the next round he can use Lethal Blow. Aimed shots will reduce the target's hit points to 0. That is a fucking get out of jail I win button, if I've ever heard one. So you're telling me that you take 1 round to aim. I'm aiming. The next round you kill it. It's a 5-heart dragon. It gets dropped to 0 hit points and dies.
That's horseshit.
That is an absolute horseshit. Like,
Yeah.
maybe I'm missing the point of it, but that is like a fucking full-on I win button for every creature. Like, get out of town, man.
No, you don't get the one shot something because you waited a turn.
Right, and then just
There's
imagine
no work like that.
Imagine using that skill every round on your big bad. So every game technically would be over after fucking round 2 because I just lethal shot your big bad guy. It's in the second round of combat.
Well, I don't want to yuck your yum either, too. But man, vampires have a lot of damn, vulnerability. They have a lot of, um, they're invulnerable to a lot of shit too. So I mean, they got to be killed specifically in a lot of ways if you really want to get rid of a vampire. Just because you whittle that down, his hit points down, doesn't mean you automatically killed him. You got to stake a vampire in the damn heart. I mean, hell, when I was playing I mean, that was a thing that pretty much wiped us out when I was playing in Deadlands. When Eric was running that, what is Night Train 2 online. You have to make those called shots to be able to hit a vampire in the damn heart. And that's what was killing us because you got you're taking a -4. And especially I was using improvised weapons, so I was taking a -6 each time to hit that damn thing in the heart.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the thing is they all have magic weapons and they all cast spells.
Oh, see,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They can bypass all that shit. Yeah. No, I got you. Yeah, I mean, if they're high enough level, then yeah, I guess they would have all that shit.
Oh, I hit the mute button by accident. So that's it, I guess, for ages. Anything that you want to do in age is handled quite simply by presuming the this is how it happens then. So the game master would presume the difficulty of the hazard, like the hazard category is decided by the game master from anywhere from 1 to 66, and they give you some examples and stuff like that. But this is the one thing that I don't like about age is the arbitrary sort of guessing how hazardous a thing is. It came up somewhere else, I believe, in doors and stuff like that.
What you got to do with that with target numbers, man. Is I mean, that's your job as a GM to gauge how difficult something is, isn't it?
Yeah, this is true, but without a specific set of rules, you're often going to find that somebody's going to say that a hazard is a 4d6 one time and a 5d6 the next and a 66, and if you don't have continuity...
Well, that's why I give you examples, too, that saying that these things that are going to, that are, going to cause, massive harm to you, that, it's, that's why it goes to like a 66. That can be a collapsing building. That can be an avalanche. That can be a tsunami. Well, and if you have the modern age companion, what they do with that is they actually offer like hazard effects per each level, to compound that with damage. So it's like you can, not only will you take 1d6 damage, but you're going to get a status effect or, a hazard effect put on you. Like minored ones, if you look, do you have the companion?
I have it
I
right
love
here,
the
Jay.
damn companion. This is like my favorite little piece of modern age.
Got it right here, bud.
It really opens up, man. If you turn to page 46 in the Modern Age Companion and you flip that up there, you're going to see what I'm talking about, where it talks about these hazard effects. No, I not to not to negate what you were talking about here. I just wanted to throw this in. I didn't want to forget this when we talk about hazards. But I guess that is kind of like, I guess if you use Modern Age's examples where they talk about, these are big harrowing damage, events, so that's what you base it on. And I want to say if you go a little further, there was somewhere where I guess where you got like even more. Or no, there's like explosive. I think further on in the companion they talk about explosive damage, which bypasses like 66, where you go like the 76, 86, 96, and like 10d6 damage. Because of these really really harrowing events like meteor strikes, so like nuclear strikes and stuff.
These are way better, and this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. They should do for D&D. These are fantastic. You have minor hazard effects, so you can be impeded. Basically, the pain or the pain distraction or sensory overload, it gives you a mechanical effect. So you take your 1d6 points of damage, and you get an extra hazardous effect. You can hamstring yourself, so your movement is reduced. Nauseated, you're gonna. Well, in this one, nauseated says you have to roll some stunt die on a 5 or a 6. You got to re-roll and take the crappier one of the bunch. But these are great. This is a great idea for Dungeons and Dragons to add that extra element. Oh, you jumped and twist your ankle. You can only move half movement. You jump and break your arm. You got a one arm hindrance or something like that. That's cool. I really like this. I was not aware that this was in the companion. That's fantastic, Jay. Oh, I think I lost Jay. I thought he was staring at me intently, but it turns out that he's frozen. So that's okay. Until Jay comes back, let's shoot over to Savage Worlds and have a look at Savage Worlds and see how they handle it. So falling damage in Savage Worlds is 1d6 plus 1 per 2 feet, or 2 inches, I should say, 4 yards, to a maximum of 10d6 plus 10. That's actually pretty friggin' potent and deadly, because in Savage Worlds with acing dice, you're kicking ass and taking names there. Hopefully Jay will come back soon. He's frozen, but he looks cute. He looks pretty. Maybe his internet went down. Snow, particularly soft ground, such as very deep snow, acts as a cushion. Every foot of soft snow reduces the damage by 1 point. That's actually not a lot of damage reduction. And if you happen to land in water, a successful athletics roll halves the damage into reasonably deep water at a height of 10 inches, 20 yards, or less. The nice part about Savage Worlds is you could fall from 10 feet and you could do some serious acing dice. And things can go completely sideways. Ooh, what do we got going on here? All right.
All right, wow, that was fun.
That's okay. I'm just gonna chop that piece out. We'll call her done. Yeah,
You sound a lot better,
yeah,
and I'm not
Discord.
getting any feedback anymore.
Well, that's good. Discord just took a major dump. It locked up, but the
Yeah,
cool part is it locked up in such a way you look like you were intently staring at what I was saying. Like
exactly.
you
And
were
it's
like,
funny too. You look like you were about to have a stroke here on my end because your face was like this. So
that's spectacular. All right, I pulled the plug on the age setup, and we shot over to Savage Worlds. I was describing that in Savage Worlds, falling damage is 1d6 plus 1 per 2 inches, up to a maximum of 10d6 plus 10. Now, in Savage Worlds with acing dice, that's the beautiful part. And the one thing that I
yeah,
love about Savage Worlds, man, that 10-foot fall, that could be the death of you. Like, you start rolling acing dice, wham, bam, no thank you, ma'am.
yeah, that's what I think happened to that lady, man. I think that D6 ace one time for her. I got to roll it again, and that's how she got her back fucked up.
I think I'm scrolling back up to. Um, hold on a second. There it is right there. The falling damage. Let me highlight that on the old select the text. So that's actually pretty sweet. I think that's the one thing about Savage Worlds that makes it stand out among all of the other games, as far as not maybe realism, but as a challenge to players, is acing dice, because anything can happen. Sure, you got
Yeah.
bennies that you can soak and stuff like that, but like anything, they're a resource that you could spend. How many times have you thrown your bennies away on a shitty notice roll or trying to re-roll something and failed? Like they're not an I win button. They really just are a resource to maybe change the narrative a little bit if you get lucky, kind of a thing. So
I mean, still, I mean, you're just getting another chance to to. Yeah, I mean, a Benny doesn't guarantee anything, man. Especially to you. That's you're also giving yourself another chance to crit fail. And just think what happens when you crit fail when you're falling. You
yeah,
know.
you know what? This is the thing too. Like, if my players in Savage Worlds were going to jump out of a 10-foot building, kind of a thing, or off a 10-foot roof, and they rolled extremely well. Let's say that I rolled, they rolled it's 36 or something like it just aced like crazy. All of that damage, or that idea of damage is not going towards wounds. It's going towards fatigue. Giving them bumps and bruises at 10 feet, I'm probably not going to make them take any damage, right? They twist
Yeah.
an ankle and you just rack it up as fatigue. You don't actually have to injure your players. But it still has that negative effect when you're trying to do a thing, which is cool.
Yeah. And it's enough, man. You give somebody a -1, that's enough for them to start bitching, enough to have it. Like, man, hey, can we take a rest? Do I still have that fatigue? Like, when are you gonna take a rest? When are you gonna take a rest? You going nonstop, dude. You can't sit down and take a breather and have like brunch with your grandma, in the middle of adventure. You got to keep going, man. Maybe later on when you feel safe enough, maybe you can take a breather then. But until then, we're pushing on. We're pushing on, fucker.
Hey, don't you think that taking a rest, like a long rest, short rest, has got to be the worst idea D&D's ever came out with?
Well, I mean, all it's gonna do, all it ever did, because it trickled down in the Pathfinder, and that's Pathfinder's more my frame of reference. Whenever I talk about like 3.5 um and that nature, I always, it's always I always Pathfinder is always the one that I get stuck with. But yeah, man, that's all it is. All like every time you move about five rooms, can I take a rest? I'm like, well, you should have burned up all your damn magics, on that damn skeleton. That ain't my fault, you know.
That's the worst part. Is that like level one, you might
Mm,
have two spell
well,
slots, so
right,
you could cast magic missile twice, and then you have to
right.
stop for 8 hours. Like,
Hmm.
could you imagine going into a dungeon and like every room you have to stop for 8 hours? It would take you like a week to go like
Yeah.
through a 10-room castle if you encounter
I'm like,
caster spells.
no, you better have a staff or something. You better start whacking on them. You know,
Yeah, I
you can
mean,
do
if you're gonna
that. You
right,
can
if
do
you're gonna
that.
if you're gonna go into a
Just because you
dungeon.
can't use, see, that's the thing, man. People are so used to being, that's a beef I have with Dungeons and Dragons, man. And just because you're a magic user doesn't mean that you get to use magic all the damn time. And being a wizard, is odd. Just thinking that you have an I win button all the time, man. It's annoying, man. And like, there's There's more ways. There's the bigger and better. Use your fucking imagination instead of like, well, I got this spell. I got this spell.
I just feel like magic users in D&D should be more powerful. They should actually have more magic, or they should have a better way of casting magic. They got
Yeah.
cantrips in 5th edition. Maybe cantrips came out in 4th. I didn't play it. But I don't recall cantrips back in 1st and 2nd edition when I was playing it as a kid. You got your 2 spell slots and away you went, but now there's some pretty sweet cantrips that you can cast repeatedly. So technically you can, but your good magics, like the spell slot worthy ones, you only get 2 of them, which is kind of shit. So yeah, I don't know. Anyways, other hazards. What else we got
That's
for
why I like.
hazards?
That's why I don't like Vancian magic, man. That's fine if you want to do all that stuff, but I just think it's a lot better. Like mana is the way to go. Mana or magic points. That's always a better solution to me.
I don't know why you always got to shit talk poor Vance. That Vance Cian guy, he sure takes a lot of grief from you.
Eh. Uh, we don't know each other. That's all right. He'll be fine. He's moved on. He's moved on.
ICRPG does not handle falling damage, but when you have 5 hearts, 50 hit points max, if you
Is that like
used
sorry to interrupt, but is that like the highest? Is that like the biggest? Heart total that you can have? Is there like a 10 heart? Sort of creature or anything?
nope, it's 1 to 5.
It's just
Everything.
five, right? So
So
five's the max then, huh? And
yeah,
that equates to 50 hit points.
yes, it breaks down to
Yeah.
50 hit points in
All right.
ICRPG. So any dragon that you come across, and this now leads back to sort of like I need to figure out, now that I'm at this stage of the game, I either have to figure out how to have better vulnerabilities or better, what's the opposite of being vulnerable?
Invulnerable. You need invulnerabilities.
That's the word I was trying to
Yeah.
think of.
Yeah. You need to
um,
start. Yeah, you got to start cranking that shit up, man. Like like immune to physical weapons, immune to immune to fire, immune to cold damage. You need to start throwing those immunities. Immunity is a better word if you want to you want to think about it. You need to start throwing those immunities out there, man. Especially you got somebody who's got I got the big bad vorpal sword, bitch, and they go to strike your dragon and like doesn't hurt it, fucker. It's immune to physical damage. You're gonna have to. What are you gonna do now?
but as a player, wouldn't you be pissed off if everything that you had in your arsenal was ineffective?
Well, not everything. I mean, that's when you got to lean on somebody else, and that's when you got to be smart. If it's immune to physical damage, it's immune to physical weapons. That means that I'm sure you got a damn magical weapon. You know what I
Oh,
mean? That's not a physical weapon like just a regular ass axe. It'll bounce off. But if it's got like your magical ass of wee wee wama, then sure, that's gonna hurt it. You
well,
know.
I don't think you're gonna find a fucking a traveling compadre or group of halflings with stones and slings trying to take out a dragon, right? Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I mean, well, that's what I'm talking about too. But I mean, there's the case where if like when you run out of or you run out of something, or you run out of spells, and you gotta lean on that dagger or whatever. You're kind of fucked.
Yeah,
But or the same thing. But what are dragons like? There's a lot of like immunity to fire. There's a lot of stuff that kind of like really kind of absorbs. And also too, you can always say that and man, you can always say that like dragons have this much armor. They don't do armor in ICRPG, do they?
no, it's based on a target number, but they've changed the way that players have defense now. So
Yeah.
here's a
So
cool thing that they
so
have.
I
So
throw some defense at that dragon, man. Shit,
what?
or a vampire or whatever. Because that seems to be like if you can just whittle, well, especially like you said with that one shot kill that somebody had, man. Now I would do something. I don't know, man. I think there's a big gap right there.
The
You know.
the one shot kill has to go. It's not a thing
Yeah.
that's going to happen.
Yeah.
The nice part about not having the defense for your NPCs, like you have scene numbers, right? So if they're fighting a dragon, I would crank the scene number up to a 20. That 20 then
Yeah.
becomes the number that you have to roll to defeat that creature, like, or not to
Yeah,
defeat it, but
that's
to
your roll to hit. It's a roll to hit
right.
it. Yeah, so I guess in
And
that sense you are kind of like cranking up the defense,
yeah,
but also too, but I'm also thinking about as far as like damage reduction, like armor goes too. That they gotta, you know, you throw up like, if they're using heart points, man, you know what you ought to create? You ought to create shield points. That they got to penetrate these shields, they got to penetrate this many hearts, these many shields, or we'll call these, instead of hearts, we'll call these shields. Throw up 3 shields, and they got to penetrate those shields before they start knocking out the hit points.
Why wouldn't I just give it 8 hearts then?
Uh,
You know
You
what I
know,
mean?
or, I'm just trying to give it a cute little way that RCR
Yeah,
would do armor. So that's what I'm talking about. Like
yeah,
or some form of damage reduction. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So yeah, you could do it like that, but no, that's something at that level. If it doesn't have anything baked in like that, I would throw some sort of damage reduction in there, some sort of
We,
toughness value, some sort of armor.
yeah, you are
Because a
getting,
dragon's got to have armor, a vampire's got to have some kind of armor. As
yeah.
or what is it then? It's just a schmuck in a cape.
Oh,
You know?
hold on a second. I see if I can't find it in here somewhere, but I'm sure that I'm sure I'll be able to figure out where he's at. There is a dragon in here in the monster section. Um, I don't want to actually listen to the stupid thing click, so I'll probably just no. I can't control. Now see what I'm doing here. I can't. If I control, then oh yeah. Okay, so in a nutshell, what else we got for hazards, Jay? We're 56 minutes into this bitch. I say we put a pin in it because we did actually ramble quite a bit about different things, but
We covered. We covered what we wanted to talk about. Mainly fall damage and like how and how damage is done with hazards. I think that's what we wanted to, get into, and this is how it does it, and how fall damage, should be more deadly, and how, and make hazards more deadly. Shit that is like Mother Nature's a bitch, man. I'm not saying that like degradingly, but yeah, but fuck, Mother Nature's a bitch. Tornadoes, hurricanes, electricity, nature will kill you just as soon as anything, man.
this
So yeah, that should be deadly. Falling
yeah.
off a damn building, falling out of a tree should be deadly. Getting struck by lightning should be deadly. Drowning should be deadly. The world is deadly. So you should throw that into your game. Make your shit deadly.
No, I
That's what
agree
we're getting at.
100%. I think
Mm.
anytime you're going to throw hazards at your players, be it acid, fire, snow, electricity, whatever it is you're going to be doing, there should be some extra side consequences above and beyond just damage. Damage is lame, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
it's just a shit dump stat, not dump stat statistic,
No.
whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
You're going to zap somebody with electricity, just like you hit somebody with a taser in real life.
You're
I think that
stunned.
they're stunned. Yeah,
Yep.
there's a good stun going on, and use that against your players. Like, I really
Dude,
feel that.
status effects are the best thing, man. Status effects, hazard effects. I'm starting to come around, or actually not really come around, but really embrace those, man. If there's a mechanic for some sort of like status effect, it's like Savage Worlds has hindrances, and you can have temporary hindrances or whatever. And now they have the states, with distracted and vulnerable. But man, like hazard effect or just like status effects, man, they suck. They awesomely suck. You know what I mean? Because that just shows your players when you're not screwing around. And this has more to meets the eye. And yeah, damage. Damage is basic. That's what basic bitches do. You want to do something real, man. Just like these minor hazard effects that we have here in Age, you can hamstring a player just minorly, where hell, their speed is reduced. That's already sucking. Impeded, that means that they take a -2 attack to penalty, or -2 penalty to attack rolls. That sucks, man. And defense too. So they just take a -2 to everything. That's a sucky ass status effect. Do that shit to your players, man.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's what this whole show boils down to, man. If you're going to start throwing hazards at your players, start tacking it on. If you're playing D&D, steer clear of the straight damage. Let's get a little extra action
Yeah.
going on in there. Yeah,
And
throw
they
in
have
some
conditions
stuns.
in like 5e. I remember, you can be deafened and you can be blinded and paralyzed and stuff. Yeah, do that instead of hey man, if you're just doing 1d6 damage per 1d6 damage per 10 stories, or 10 feet rather, then you need to then they need to be knocked prone, or they need to be knocked, or they need to be hamstrung, or they need to be slowed, or some kind of cripple. Like you fall out of that, you probably busted your damn ankle and you ain't running anymore, are you? you
Yeah,
know
you broke your pee-pee.
yeah, you ain't getting it on, you ain't No more barmaids for you, dude. You know?
Oh man, there's a kid that I knew when I was younger that fell out of a tree and ripped one of his nuts off. I'm gonna leave you with that.
Well, just, you see nuts in a tree all the time, man.
Hell yeah, you do. All right, let's put a pin in this bad boy. I'm gonna hit the
Yep.
outro bedliner and see how this works out for us.
See, yeah, I can hear this now. Excellent. Thank you. All we need to do is restart Discord.
She's a beauty. All right. Wait a second. I got to drop the volume on this down here. So professional, buddy. That's it for this edition of the Murder Hobo RPG Show. We hope you enjoyed it. And now that we have changed networks, guess what, Jay?
We care.
A little bit. There's a touch of caring going on in there.
A modicum, a smidge. It's the holiday season, so we're starting to get into the holiday season, so just a smidge.
Yep.
Of caring.
A dollop. You're up. Read the next part.
I will. And if you're interested in submitting 2 community questions, which we never do, which is awesome, so you can hear us poke fun at you and not answer your questions honestly, you can do so at Murder Hobo Show. Otherwise, send your hate mail to I gotta think of something real quick, Gary.
Is it you're sending it to Gary.com?
Or send it to bleak.gary.
Oh wow. All right. You can get us on Twitter at the Murder Hobo Show.
My favorite reaction that you ever did. It's like a defeated. Wow.
Oh man, you can get us on Twitter at the Murder Hobo Show, on YouTube at the Murder Hobo Show, where I show you how to make 3-dimensional battle maps for role-playing in Tabletop Simulator, among other stuff. You can watch me do this live on Twitch at the Murder Hobo Show, but be warned, it's so rando. I used the same thing from last time.
It's very rando.
This is the part of the show.
Don't you talk about your little don't you talk about cooking and stuff on your podcast or on the your Twitch videos too?
But you can see how well this show is put together. That is exactly how all my shows are put together. This is free content. You know what I mean? This is like walking down the street and finding a $1 bill in the sidewalk. Just be happy that you found a buck. You know, don't be mad because don't be mad because it ain't 20. Just be happy that it's $1.
Right. And don't smell it, man. You don't know why hell, just be happy you found that damn $1. You know, be grateful for. Yeah, I agree with you, man.
Right?
Be happy.
Where are we at here? This is the part of the show where we're going to ask you to check out some of the content creating fellow members of the network today, and we would like you to take a look at FSHS Schmo. He plays Shadow of the Demon Lord, Punkapocalyptic, D-Genesis, and more. So if you're looking at getting outside of your D&D comfort zone, look no further.
Yep. And you can find the things we discussed in the show notes, organized by most recent at the top, over at murderhoboshow.podbean.com.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in next time. We're going to have another action-packed show where we just talk about things we know little to nothing about and sound professional doing it. Ramble incoherently a little bit more. What do we think we're doing next time? You want to talk about maybe some Christmas ideas?
Yeah, let's do that. Well, the holidays will be upon us, so yeah, let's do that. So let's, we do have a history of doing sexy Christmas time. So we got to throw out. So we got to throw out.
Right.
So we put the sexy in Christmas.
We'll put the sex in Xmas.
Yeah,
have a great
true.
gaming week, everybody. We're out of here. Say goodbye, Jay.
Adios, everybody.